Hello and welcome back to Mira Painting a Thing. That's the official title that I'm calling this. No, it's not. But I am painting this process, painting of another portrait. This one is quite a bit faster than the last one I uploaded. I was focusing more on painting very loosely and not overdoing details, and also the reference is just simpler to a great degree than the last one, so that sped me along too. Also, I did not get high to work on this one. So there you go. There's the time differential. But this one I start with this sketch, and as I'm sketching her face, I really want to keep track of the shape language that her face kind of naturally has. She's got very round features, like a very round nose, round lips, round cheeks. So I try to keep that in mind as I'm doing this initial sketch. Triangle for the nose, though. Gotta have the nose triangle. Trying not to like go overboard with sketching it all out too, just sketch what you need. I've been learning to paint watercolors, which all these references that I'm grabbing for these I've also done in watercolor before I'm doing these digital paintings. And I like the way this came out quite a bit. I think I'm finally kind of getting the hang of watercolor. Then I was even happier with the way it came out digitally, because that's the way it goes. When you know a medium better, it's a lot easier to make decent art in it. And the color that they picked, this kind of green, this neutrally green color for the background. I don't know why. I don't remember why. I just liked it. It just felt like the right kind of color. It contrasted well enough, I think, with her. Her skin has a lot of nice warm tones to it, and I thought that it contrasted nicely with that. You can see I'm still flipping the canvas a lot, as one does, make sure it looks right. It's almost uncanny because you'll work on something for a while and not flip it, and then think like, this is perfect, this is great, and you flip it and you're immediately like, what the heck was I doing? What am I working on here? So I noticed that the shape of the hair was a little wrong, and it's still a little wrong, but that's okay. We work around it. Yeah, I'm catching that now, actually. I think I'm questioning myself as I do this too, because I'm like, this feels way too big, way too big. And then I'm like, oh yeah, it's too big, it's too big. You gotta take some back. You gotta cut some back. I'm really bad with chicken scratching when I draw, and I've been trying to get better about that habit and just make more clear, concise lines. But also, I feel like when you're sketching, why work that hard on making a nice, clear, concise line? It's no good if you're like going back and forth on the pencil line repeatedly over and over and making it look really rough. But if I have to like quickly restate a line 3 times to get it to a place where I'm happy, I'm gonna do that. I think that's just what I've decided for myself. And for this composition too, I did the same thing with the watercolor, but I decided to just like crop off that part of her jacket because I think it just looks a bit nicer with just the chest coming down in the center. So here you see me making the palette in the good old color mixing palette, which last video I said nobody really paints this way, haha, but I'm not an oil painter. And I was watching some videos and I saw somebody set up an oil paint palette exactly like that and went, damn, I guess that works. If you're not using a medium that dries immediately, you can just do this. Which maybe that's why portrait painters tend to paint in oil and not acrylic. I don't know. That's crazy. So just blocking in the basic shapes with the general mid-tone that I see. I watched this preview in VLC while I do this voiceover, and the color calibration is so hilariously off. I almost wish I could just upload that so you could see how pink she looks right now. It's hilarious. I should get that fixed or use a different program probably. I also, with this painting, had to take like a week off of it because I got busy with work, which is why this hasn't been a quick upload. And then when I came back to it, I was like staring at it for a minute, trying to remember. Which I think, honestly, I think that's a pretty good exercise when you're painting. Leave something for a while and then come back to it and try to pick it up like it's a puzzle piece. Like, where did this go? What was I doing? I don't remember. And then just jump into it, which we're not even there yet. But just blocking in the shapes, blocking in the shadows. As I've been learning watercolor, I've heard a lot of advice warning people to beware of the messy stage. They say, oh, don't worry, there's always a messy stage to watercolor. And it makes me wonder if these watercolorists have never used another medium, because that's just painting, I feel like. I don't think watercolor is especially different about that. All paints have an ugly phase, whereas you're working with them and they don't quite look what they're supposed to. Like, look at this right now. This does not look like at all what it's supposed to look like. But you have to trust the process, and you have to just keep building and keep building. I guess the one difference you could see would be people who paint with a very, what's the word? A process where you're putting in a face, or you're laying in. But even then, like, you're going to have those messy phases while you're doing each part of the lay-in. Like when you're working on the head, it's going to look messy before you're done with it. So I don't know. I just don't think that's very unique to watercolor. But enough about watercolor. This is digital. Good old digital painting, where you can zoom right in and paint someone's nose real close. I'll joke sometimes that when I do something digitally, it's like cheating, but it's not cheating. That's the secret about digital. It's not cheating. It's using the tool. You're using the tool that you've chosen to use, and using it to its full advantage. Is it cheating if you were like drawing with pencil and you used an eraser? No. Is it cheating to use a stencil? No. It's also necessary sometimes too, because what people don't talk about, I think, because as digital art has become so much more common than it used to be, and so prevalent, because of how accessible it is and how over time more affordable it is than traditional mediums. Like, it's hard to draw on a screen. It's hard to paint on a screen. It's difficult to get those lines to be as precise as you would on paper or canvas, or any other natural medium. Well, not any other. There are some really stupid natural mediums, but use the tools. They put those tools in there for a reason. Don't be afraid to use them. Now, if you need to, if you're working on learning to draw in general, then they can be not helpful for that. If you're at a very beginner phase of your art learning journey, then it can be very helpful, I think, to just work on pencil and paper, or just work with pen and paper or something, so that you can't rely on those tools, so that you have to learn to train up your eye and your hand a little bit better. But also, if you feel like cheating when you're doing digital, I'm not going to tell anybody. I didn't note either that I just blocked in her hair real roughly earlier, just to kind of get the shapes. Like she has I have never painted hair like this before, and I love it, because I was able to look at it and go, I don't know how to do this. I have to really think about this. And it's the same as any other hair, any other shape, any other kind of painting, really. You just need to look for the basic shapes and block those out. And that's what I did here with this dark brown I used to just block out those black shapes. And I'll go in later, of course, and add a lot more detail to it. But this just gets you the general, like, it should be darker. Her face should be framed by these darker colors. This is another one, too, that I got from Unsplash. I think this was from the Good Faces agency on Unsplash. She's just a beautiful model. I started looking into her a little bit more because I was afraid, like, she was so beautiful. I thought that maybe they put an AI image up, because they didn't have a lot of photos of her on Unsplash. But I think it's just because she's such a beautiful model that they're not giving those away for free. That's my feeling about it, because they definitely do have other photos of her, and she's a real person that exists. I hope. I hope they're not pulling the wool over my eyes on that one. I think working from AI is something that is going to be very tempting for people who are new to art, because you can just, type in whatever you want and then suddenly a prompt appears. I had the same kind of revelation when Google image search existed back in the day, because it's just like, wow, you can just source all these images, because like you used to have to really hunt to find references. I used to like stockpile National Geographic magazines to have pictures to paint from and things like that. And now you can just go and find anything almost immediately on the internet. And then a step beyond that is just have AI generate it for you. But I think it's really doing yourself a disservice, especially with portraiture or with figurative stuff or anything, because the AI does not get it right at all. Like it'll get you mostly there. You can look at something and say, "Oh, that looks like a person at a glance," but when you start really looking at the anatomy, then it's not right. And what you want to do when you're doing these studies, when you're doing these figure studies, these portrait studies, you want to build up a visual library of things that are actually real, so that you know what real people look like. And I'm doing myself a disservice by painting so many beautiful models. I think I should paint more real people. Not that beautiful models aren't real people, but most people just don't look like this woman. You know what I mean? I do have to credit, though, the success of this painting entirely to just her being a beautiful model. So I block in the jacket now, and I don't know why, but for some reason, I think just because her skin tones are so warm, I assumed this was, or not assumed, but I looked at this jacket and I thought it was a cooler black. So it looks real off to me for a while, and then I finally fix it, I think, at the end after I go through the hair. Sometimes you just, mess something up and you have to repaint it. Easy enough. And here's where we get real fun with the hair. So I just start blocking in the lighter shapes that I can see, you know. And this whole portrait too, I didn't mention I am using the square brush for most of it, because I did say last time I wanted to try just using the square brush for a portrait painting. And I love it. I should just do more of them like this and play with different brush shapes. But for her hair, because her hair has such a defined texture, I jump up to this dry bristle brush and just start scumbling the hell out of it. You just build layer and layer of lights and darks and midtones on top of each other. And I am referencing the reference a lot here. I'm not just like, oh, go crazy with the brush. But I'm looking at where the dark shapes end, where the mid shapes end, where you can see some highlights, and just quickly building around. It doesn't take long, but it really, it's fun. It's a fun process. I love painting hair, I think. Get an even grainier brush to go over some of those. Just get that texture in. And then for the background, I didn't know what to do, since she's just on a gray background, and I thought, oh, that'll be kind of boring, And I should have, with the watercolor one, I should have tried to do something too, but I got cowardly. So I just put these yellow kind of water splashes in that make it look like lights behind her. And I'm happy enough with the way it comes out. It's important to check and refine through all stages of this. Like, just because I've moved on and done the hair and the jacket doesn't mean I'm like done with the face forever if I notice something wrong with it. And then this is where I'm like, oh, this gray is way warmer. What am I talking about? But that's all it is. You just go in and just paint over it. That's what I love about art. You know, you make a mistake, just redo it. Even if you have to start a new picture, just redo it. Anyway, that was the portrait painting. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please go ahead and hit that like button or subscribe. I'm going to post some more future videos. Eventually, I'll get better at yapping over them, but I appreciate your time. Thanks and have a great day.